Let me start that. My apologies. Thank you for reminding me. It is all right. I might go back and redo the video, but it's okay. But inside of this div, we have our h1 tag, and inside of our browser, we can now see the effect of the h1 tag on our web page. So I'm going to hit the refresh up here, and whoa, what just happened? We have this big inside every browser, Chrome. Why does it stop there? Because that's where my h1 tag stopped. What you see is what you get. Very literal, not smart. Very literal. So now inside of our Mozilla Edge Safari, all of this is appearing in one single line. We have an H1. We have all the way up to H6. And I'll take this tag and I'll come to the end and I will pop it in here and I will save again. And inside of here, now I'm going to refresh and hey, this is weird. It's really small and hard to see, but this is also a pre-formatted text. So inside, all of these interpret or know how to read HTML and CSS because there are predefined tags. So what I'm going to do is take you to the cheat sheet, essentially. And what we're going to do is come here and go to our HTML cheat sheet. Oops. And I think this is spot skills. There we go. So if you go to this site, we'll be able to see all of our options. I don't want to go through each and every single one, but what I do want to do is show you how to see the patterns. So we've got a hypertext markup language, basic building blocks, so kind of everything we've covered here. WYSIWYG, not a programming language, is a markup language. It uses tags to style the content. Then inside of here, we've got different elements and specific attributes, and we've got an HTML cheat sheet. So I'm going to click on HTML cheat sheet, and we've got all of these different styles here. Whoa, none of this makes any sense. And there's some images that I probably need to update. So good that I came in here. But we're going to come in here and go to view, and again, developer tools. Cool. So inside of developer tools, we've got, whoa, this is weird. There's a whole bunch of like gray text in here. It doesn't look as clean as before. What is this gray text? I'll cover that in a moment, but these are basically called comments. And so comments help identify the documents to the browser. It helps identify commenting to the browser. It helps identify, sorry, not to the browser, to the person reading this. This is not for the browser at all. None of these lines are for the browser. The browser
BB to me,
ignores these lines.
sorry I fell behind.
Yeah, no worries. Where are you, BB? Were you able to come to the Visual Studio Code, or were you, let me know where you're at and I can help you catch up. After the link, so after the link in here, uh, there is a student section at the top. And so if you click on student section up at the top on the link page, so the link page will probably take you to home, which is your coding roadmap to freedom, and then the student section. Inside of the student section at the bottom, there's this box called front end at the bottom, and then you get front end notes. And inside front end notes, if you click on the drop down for hypertext markup language, kind of everything that we've covered so far with HTML is listed here. And then this HTML cheat sheet at the bottom, you can click on that, and then we have this page. So now, hopefully that catches you up to the right place, BB. Let me know if that was, if you got caught up. Cool. So inside of here, we're going over comments. Everything you see in gray, the browser ignores. So how do we do that? How do we do this in our coding? So inside of our code, I'm going to add in a comment, and you can add comments wherever you want to. So the shorthand is command /, and I get this thing. This is so annoying to type. So really, if I want to type this, this is open bracket, and then a exclamation, dash dash, and then I put my comment in here, and this will not be interpreted by the browser. So see how the text editor changes it to all green? Now inside of my web page, I'm going to save this and we're going to come back to index.html. And in here, if I do a refresh, hey, inside of here, there's a div, and now I can expand that div, and hey, there's my comment, but it doesn't show up here at all. So commenting is very, very important. You will see this all over the place, because in programming, the primary thing that is left out is, why did you do it this way? What is this for? Why is this code the way it is? And so comments really help other people. You don't have to comment if you don't want to, but you will find that when you're working with other people, that comments really, really help them and they help you. So try to communicate what you're doing in the code to other people and also for yourself, so you know what you're doing. So commenting is going to be something that we will talk about and we'll see in other people's code, and it will come up quite a bit. Beyond that, we talked about header tags. And so there are header tags. This is within a header tag, heading type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so if I come to try to find it, I'll look at, oh, here's my header tag. This is within the header tag, and there's my header. And then below that, I have a divider to break it up, and I've got my section headings, header type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So all of these are different heading types, and there is no H7 at all. It just goes H1 through 6. If I try to type H7, let's just play around with this and see if H7 exists. So I'm going to make an H7, and this tag does not exist in the browser's interpreter. I will save, and I will come back to our index.html, and I'll refresh, and nothing happens. I come into my div, and there is an H7 here, but the browser doesn't know what to do with it. It's like, wait a minute, this is not a div, this is not an H1 tag, this is not an H6 tag, this is a nothing tag, I don't have anything for it. I'm not going to do anything with it. I don't know what to do with it, so I'll do nothing. So now inside of here, I will change this to a P tag. And a P tag is shorthand for paragraph. You will see this P tag all over the place. And so what happens in the browser? Now I'm going to come back and refresh, and hey, that P tag has its own properties. Now, I've talked a little bit about its own properties and what that means. So inside of here, I'm going to click on the H1. And at the bottom, we start seeing what's going on. I haven't done any CSS coding at all. I haven't done any style sheets. I don't have any CSS file in here at all. So where is this style coming from? The browser does the interpretation. And what does it do? Inside of the browser, every time you see this in italics, so I know this might be hard to differentiate, and we'll get into CSS shortly, but you will see this in italics. And this text is a user agent style sheet. And this is code for Chrome browser built-in default style sheet. And this H1 element is something that comes with the browser. You cannot change the browser. You can override the browser. So I want to make that very clear. By default, we cannot change the browser. I'm going to put in another div here and just call that out. By default, the browser has its own styling. You cannot change the browser styling, but you can override it. And so we're going to look at overriding it very shortly. So I'm going to save that and refresh. And just so we know, hey, inside of our style sheet, if I click on the new div that I created and I go to this text, hey, there's no matching style here at all. It's just dummy text with nothing. So this is the default, zero styling, zero anything. This is what it's going to look like. If I come up to the P tag, all of these interpret, you see the bottom change. And we see a display block, margin block. Don't worry about any of this. We're going to learn how to type this as well. So if I go back to my HTML cheat sheet, we've got sections and page layouts, different tags, and we can clearly see, hey, we've got our different divs and we've got our different tags and how they are used. So this is a text of the style, comes by default, and then our breaks we can use in between. I don't really recommend using breaks, but I wanted to show them. We have a opening and closing tag and what it does. So the element is the tag and then the closing tag. And then we've got links and lists and tables and forms. So HTML can do a lot, and buttons and images and different symbols. So HTML is capable of doing a lot. There's certain things I am going to cover really quickly are going to be links because we're going to use those quite a bit. And so if I want to create a link in here, I'm going to create a div and I'm going to call this a link, and below it, or sorry, I'm going to call this a tag. And with that a tag, there we go. And I'm going to call this link. That's all I'm going to do for right now. So a tag and link. And automatically, when I come back to my index.html and I refresh, there's this word link here within a tag. So inside, there's nothing there yet. There's no styling there yet. The a tag needs a destination to go to. So we're going to type in href, automatically comes up. And we're going to type in https://www.google.com, a very popular site. And so now when I come back to my site here and I refresh, the text changes slightly. Now that I added this href element, I've unlocked something new. Without that href element, if I got rid of this from my text, this would change. This would go away. So I want to show that really quickly. Some elements, and it's very specific to forms and hrefs or links. If I got rid of this and refreshed, that link changes again, and it's now just regular text, and there is nothing down below here for any CSS styling. But if I come back and I put in that href link to google.com again, and I save, and I come back here and I refresh, that link changes. It gets this nice little blue underline, and then I get some CSS styling here as well by default from the browser. All right, so if I click this, now I'll go to google.com and boom, I am in the Google search bar. I don't know where you're joining from, but I do know some countries don't allow Google, so you can type in whatever web page you want to, and you'll open up to a new link in the browser as you've gone to that. Now you're outside of the web page and into Google. So I wanted to show links. We're not going to go over every tag. We can do that at another time if there's a request for it. But if you want reference to the tags, here's all the code for the actual tag. Forms might be a bit confusing, but we've got a form section here. And inside the form, we break down how to create a form and how to have all these text boxes show up, which labels and inputs. You don't need all of these by all means, but wanted to show you what's available. So if I come here and I delete, let's say we have this placeholder element, I'm hovered over it, we can see that it's blue, enter your last name. If I change this up to enter your birthday, now the text will change inside of that placeholder element. So I know which element I'm working with. I can change certain things around. So I know this code correlates to this section here. We're not going to go over forms, but what I am going to do is start to copy our web page from here now that we have hopefully a basic understanding, and I'm going to copy section by section. So there's something that I always like to do. We've done all of this hard work. I want to get used to deleting our hard work. So I'm just going to Control A. You don't have to save this. If you want this for reference, by all means, it is here in the HTML cheat sheet, everything we've covered, as well as in here in the site that I posted earlier. We have all of the actual text that I was talking about earlier. So this isn't critical information at all. It is just dummy information that is repeated and it can be found elsewhere. So we're going to delete that data. I'm going to save it. And when I come back to my index, I'm going to refresh and everything goes away, except for automatically inside of every web page, even though I don't have anything, the web page loads HTML, head, and body and HTML. So this is your basic beginner pattern. HTML with the head element and then the body element. The head element tells the world what the page is about. The body element contains the contents of the page. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to copy section by section. So I'm going to copy this one. And you don't have to do it section by section. You can copy the whole thing as we did in the beginning. So the shortcut would be copy element, come here and paste it in, and boom, save it, and come back to index.html, refresh. Whoa, okay. I have all of this stuff now here on my page. Cool, but it looks terrible. It looks awful. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to come in and, oh, my style sheet. How do I get to my style sheet? How do I see the actual CSS and what's going on there? Well, I can go to sources and hey, inside, I even have my whole style sheet. I have the whole thing right here. So again, I can copy this and don't worry, I will show this again, but I wanted to give you some confidence that what I'm doing actually works. And so inside of my open editors, my first website, I'm going to click this and I'm going to click, this is called CSS style sheet.css. So we're going to call it that. The names have to match. CSS style sheet.css. So if I go there and make sure I called it the right thing, I did, and we will paste everything in here. Cool, save it, and now let's see if that worked. We'll refresh. Hey, that worked beautifully. This is our cheat sheet. This is the actual site. How do I know this is the actual site versus this is the cheat sheet? Well, here we have linusitem.github.io, and here we have user roadblock. This is my local. Whoa, that's pretty cool. And I've got all of these elements here all ready to go, and it's already styled pretty nicely. And here's the original that we copied everything from. Now, I want to go over this again because developer tools is incredibly powerful. We started off with just the elements tab up above. And the elements tab gave us all the skeleton HTML. It gave us the head, the body, and these divs. Cool. But I didn't have any of the styling. I didn't have any of the CSS. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to get used to this whole deleting thing. So I'm going to delete our style sheet. And I'm even going to delete all of this because I want to show you repeatedly what we're doing. And I want to make sure you understand the process. But in here, we're going to refresh and it'll come up blank again. And we have our HTML, we have our head, our body, and our HTML tags. So we have this pattern. Now we're going to go back to document and I'm just going to copy this entire element. So I'm on the head or the HTML element. I'm going to copy the entire element. And once I copy the entire element, I can copy the outer HTML and all the other stuff, but I'm going to copy the element and I can come into index.html and paste it in. Now you see, I don't really even have to understand any of this code yet, but the pattern is what I'm looking for. All right, I've got my HTML up here and oh, there might be a typo. It added in an extra head tag. Let me get rid of that. And just for clarity's sake, let me pop this head onto another line. So I've got HTML, I've got my head tags, and let me make these a little bit more concise so it's easier to see. But here we've got our HTML, our head, and our body, and our final HTML. If I want to look at just the head section, or the Visual Studio Code browser or the editor gives me a way to be able to collapse and expand. So I can see all these different elements that I have. Inside of here, there's a really specific line, and this is style sheet with an href to another file. And this is what links my CSS. It is inside of the head element. Now, if I want to grab this CSS, wait, I want to rewind. Why am I showing you this? Because I also want you to know where to look in case there's a problem. Oh no, it doesn't work. What's happening? So we're going to get into troubleshooting. Say I call my new sheet. I'm going to call this style wrong name.css. Okay. And I come in and I go to sources, which is the 2 tabs over, and I see sources, and here's my HTML sheet again. So if I want to copy all of this, I can, or if I just need to copy the style sheet, I can. And then also there's the image that comes with this, which is the actual image on the page. This is all extracted with the browser. So the browser does some amazing things for us in terms of troubleshooting. So I'm going to copy all of this and paste it in to my wrong name CSS. So I save this, and then I come back into my index and I refresh, and whoa, nothing loaded. Did I save my file? No, I didn't. There's a little dot up there reminding me, oops, I didn't save. So let me go back and save and refresh. And wait a minute, why did my style CSS not show up? I have this style CSS. Why is it not connecting? Well, I don't know where to look. Help me. This is broken. I don't know what to do. I can come into console. Now I can kind of see there's some errors in here that are really cryptic, that are really just like, oh, I don't understand this at all. So I really wanted to focus in on the errors so that if you see this in the future, it's not so scary and you know where to look. So inside of the console, we have get. If you don't understand what that means, it's okay. We have get something in here. Don't quite understand, but I see this big block error file not found, or file not found. What file was not found? Okay, this file here, what is this? A file, users, roadblock, desktop, my first website. Well, my first website looks kind of familiar. CSS style sheet. And it's also telling me where index.html:8. Okay, let me go back to my Visual Studio Editor and let me look at line number 8 inside of my HTML. Line number 8. Oh, okay, here's my style sheet. So I want to belabor the point that the browser is really helpful once we understand how to interpret the message. This is a bit intimidating at first, really not fun to look at, really hard, but we went from elements, we saw all of this stuff, and this was intimidating at first, but hopefully we can start to see the pattern. And then we went into our sources, and we don't know anything about what's going on here. Wait a minute, something changed up, something's off. I don't have my index.html here. Oh, wait, I'm on my version. I'm not on the original version. Let me go to the original version. So automatically under sources, I have linus-item.github.io. Oh, that's this URL here. I have my
Taji
Spot Skills
Chandradiwa
static,
has left the meeting.
and then I have these two right here. And I think if I refresh this, this is probably wrong, but there we go. That Spot Skills static, I forgot that I had changed this up, but we've got Spot Skills static here. So here's our Spot Skills static. And then inside there, we've got our cheat sheet HTML, which we are currently on. And this is our style sheet, which we are going to copy. So what I can do is one of two things. I can either change this name, which I can, or I can change the code in here. And I'm going to just show you how to change the code in here under the href. And under the href equals CSS style sheet.css, I'm going to change this to style wrong name.css. And we're going to save this. So now I'm saved here, and we're going to go back to our local version. And we're just going to do a refresh. Whoa, everything looks nice and it all works. That's pretty cool. So what did we do? We copied over our index HTML. We didn't have the right style sheet name. We did some troubleshooting in our console, and hey, we fixed it. And now that particular error is gone. But wait, we still have this error. What's going on here? So you might see this every once in a while. It is a bit of an annoying error because favicons up here, that little symbol, that little global symbol, or that little whatever symbol it is, I think it's the world. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I'm going to call it the world symbol, is what's called a favicon or favorite icon. Every website has a favorite icon that gets put next to it on this tab. So if you go to google.com, let's go to google.com, you'll see a favicon next to it. So here on this one, we see that G next to Google. That is what's called a favicon. In our early development days, it's too complicated to bring in the idea of a favicon. React gives us one automatically, and I'll show you how to change that in the future. But for now, you can go ahead and ignore that error as you're doing local development. And as we get into React development, I'll show you how to fix this error in the future. But for now, this one, if it comes up, don't worry about it. The way to get rid of it is to just get rid of the favicon component in here, which is this line entirely. So it's calling a link that doesn't exist, and that's what it's complaining about. These are calling a link. So if I blow this one away and save it again, we should be able to come back here, and hopefully that error then goes away and done. And maybe we see this one, third-party cookies will be blocked in future Chrome versions as a part of privacy. And what that's talking about is the image that I'm pulling. This will also cover at a later date, but really it's because I'm pulling this image from Pexels, and that's this particular image that we're using in our site. We are calling it via the URL, not hosted locally. So if I come down here and I look at the actual image itself, we have the image Pexels URL here, which that's what's generating that error. But the console is a very, very powerful tool to show us where our problems are. So if I call this, if I revert this back to the two errors that we had before and revert the name style sheet again, save it and come back to the React app and refresh this. I want to generate these two errors because I want to show you, hey, we can reproduce these errors and just make sure everything is linked correctly. And that's the part that I wanted to cover today, is how to link things directly. So now when we get into styling the element, I'm
Juan
going to leave
Nguyen
that
Min has left the
to
meeting.
I'm going to leave that to you to try to understand the flow of what's happening in this original document. So if we come to elements, the part I want you to focus on is inside of the body and inside of the nav bar. And what we're going to do is start to dive into class. And I'm going to generally refer to class more than I do ID and more than I do the tag. But now let's start to play around with what's happening inside of this div. So I'm going to go ahead and delete everything. And we are going to start playing around with actual CSS. Div, I am going to modify this with CSS. So I'm going to save this. And we have a problem already. We don't have any way to reference our CSS. So I'm going to delete this file. So wait a minute, how do I reference CSS in here? So there's a few ways I can do it. I can either type in HTML, get that tag, then I can type in head, get that tag, and then I can type in body and get that tag. And then I can put my div inside of the body. Oops, wrong place. Put my div inside of the body, and inside here, I can do a link to a style sheet and call it style.css. And that's the long way to do it. So I just want to show you how this works. And we're going to go to the div element and div background color. We'll call this blue. And so now when I load up my index CSS, everything is saved. We're going to go to refresh. And I have this, I'm going to modify with CSS. What just happened? What just took place here? That was a little too fast. I don't get it. too much. So I'm going to delete all of this and I'm going to type in my HTML header. So the real thing we're missing here is our style sheet link. So I needed to get the head element so that HTML knows to look for a style sheet. I can't really put the link into the body element. It just doesn't work properly. So for the safe way to use HTML, the right way to use HTML, I need it inside of the head tag. So inside of here, hopefully this looks familiar. We've got HTML, head, head, body, body. And that's how sort of the different patterns work for HTML and the elements within. So I'm going to delete everything in here again. And I'm going to type in a keyword that is available in our Visual Studio Code, which is HTML. And I'm going to choose this one and just see what happens. Oh, that didn't give me what I wanted. This is great, but I want the template that's predefined. So HTML. Oh, what happens when I click this one? Cool. All right, that's what I want. Awesome. But just for exploration's sake, I don't know if I'm going to break anything. So let me just click this one. I don't know what this is, but it's not what I want. I don't even know how to use this. I've never seen this before. More than likely, if I've never seen it before, it doesn't exist here. I'm not seeing it anywhere in here. I probably don't want to use it. So back
Tuan
here,
Le Nguyen Min has
we'll
joined
get
the
rid of this.
meeting.
And we'll go HTML5 because this resembles what we want. I'm looking at the head and I'm looking at the body. Yeah, this is pretty close to what I want. It's not exact, but it's close. Cool. And inside here, div, and I am going to change this with CSS. So how am I going to change this with CSS? I have this style.css, and I'm going to go over the syntax of this in a little bit. But for now, I've got this style CSS. And what I've done is div and open bracket. So in here, div and open bracket, which the open bracket key should be next to the letter P on most keyboards. It'll be at the same as the close bracket. So it'll be that curly bracket. You're going to see this curly bracket so often in coding, you will go blind. But we got to get used to seeing these very funky, unique characters because they come up all the time and they are highly annoying. And when we get into programming logic and we get into lists and dictionaries and ways to store data, oh, you will lose your mind. But hopefully I can belabor the point enough to help you see the pattern. But this is the pattern of CSS. And again, CSS is not a programming language. So up here, I'm going to add a comment. I'm going to command /, and in CSS, this is how you add a comment. So you've got the /* and then why can't programming be easier? Ugh, so annoying. And you've got a closing. And now you see the colors changing. So I'm going to delete that last thing. And you see that div down below is green in color. Doesn't matter how far it is. It's always going to be seen as a comment. So star, still green. Oh, /. That closes the comment. So hopefully in here, you see the pattern of a comment. I do want to belabor the point of comments, but in here, we've got this //. This is how to make a comment. I don't know what to call the symbol is super annoying. I can't change it, but it's just what it is. I get highly annoyed by it because it doesn't make sense. HTML has one way, CSS has another way, React will have a third way. It's all like the wild, wild west. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent because I'm annoyed with how incongruent things are in coding. So in here, there's a lot of things I can do with CSS. So many things. There are around a million options, probably not that many, but more than I care to know. But there are some very common ones. And the common ones are background image, background color, background properties in general. So I'm going to stick with background color because it's a really simple one. And the browser automatically gives me a list of colors to choose from. oh, this is kind of cool. I can choose from all these different colors that I like. And if I choose fire brick, if I wait a moment, this little box appears. Oh, now I can even choose my own color. This is kind of cool. All right, I want this one, and it's not so much fire brick, but the text changes. So some colors have names because they've been used so often. Other colors are just a blah. I don't understand what this is. It is a red, green, blue, and then out of 255, what color for red out of 255 combined with color of green 255 and color of blue shade of 255. And combining all three of these colors together, essentially percentage red, percentage green, percentage blue. So if I get 100, basically 100% red out of 255, then around 50% green and 50% blue, I get this sort of like lightish reddish color. So we're going to do that and hit save. And inside of my index.html, if I go to index.html and I refresh here, oh, I don't get my background. What happened? Because I need to link the style sheet. So this is not intuitive. This is not something that will make sense right away. There are some things that are just annoying and you have to remember. That's what makes coding so difficult and so frustrating to learn. So link. And in here, I don't remember what the text is. So I make my little link and oh no, I forgot how to do this. So I'm going to show you how to look information up. How to link HTML to CSS. So HTML styles. So W3 Schools is a really good resource. And I can click HTML styles and what is CSS and all this stuff. But really, I want to come to, oh, I can do style this way. That's not what I'm looking for. External CSS. Hey, this is the code I was looking for. This is the pattern that I saw. This is the one I'm familiar with. So I can copy this one. W3 Schools, trusted website. Feel free to use it. It's all available here. And if you look on the left-hand side, there are so many ways to learn and so many different things. If you're the type of person that needs to go section by section by section by section, learn that way. If you're the type of person that just wants to look at what they need, get it and get out, learn that way too. Whatever way works for you, just keep trying because this stuff is not easy for a reason and it's hard. But if you keep at it, you have a very awesome life ahead of you doing kind of whatever you want from wherever you want. But now we've got the styles.css file. And I'm going to save this. And I already know there's
China
a problem.
Watmahonentakul has left the meeting.
So hopefully you see the problem already. And if you don't see the problem, that's okay too. But I'm going to save this. I'm going to go back to my document. And I'm hoping in my document, this will have a red background. So I'm going to save this. Oh, where's my red background? Why is this not coming up with my red background? I go to my div and wait, there's no CSS here in my console. Oh, but get file, not put in the, like put in the link. What's the problem? Oh, this happens all the time in coding. One little typo, that little styles versus style. This will happen so often. Okay, now I know where to look. I can correct the error, and now I can come back and refresh and change it. And there's my little red, blue, green coloring, whatever that color was. So I hope that was a long-winded way to explain what's going on and how to link CSS to HTML and make changes. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to belabor that point, but this time a little bit faster because there's going to be another element that I want to introduce. So I'm going to get rid of all of this. We don't have an index anymore. My style sheet, I'm going to delete all of this. So we start off, and I'm going to delete the file altogether. So we just have our index.html, and we have this blank page. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to refresh, and we don't have anything except for HTML, head, body, HTML. Okay, cool. Blank canvas again. In here, hopefully we remember HTML5 is the one we
Tuan Le
want.
Nguyen Min has left the
And
meeting.
we come back in, and now we've got this body. And in here, I want to put in this div, and I want
Tuan Le
to
Nguyen Min has
change
joined the
this with
meeting.
CSS. But I want to use class as my reference point. Oh, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? So here, I don't have a style sheet yet. So let's link our style sheet and call this style.css. And cool, we've got our style sheet. And let's link our style sheet in our HTML because now we know, hey, we need a style sheet every time we come in. So here's my style CSS automatically. Here's my file CSS automatically. Perfect. So in here, I said I want to do it by class. Okay, what we did first was a div. We did this first, which works. Background color, and we'll call this fire brick, and we'll save it. And this, provided I saved everything, and refresh in here, yeah, it works. I want to change this with CSS, which we did. We got that first part right. This first part, I want to change this with CSS. We did it. If we come here and we look at our div, we have our div here. Also, I do want to point out, this is a really good opportunity. Down below in our div, we changed it. Here's the background color. How do I know I'm the one who changed it? Because the reference is style CSS line 1. Ooh, okay. So style CSS line 1, that comes from my file, style CSS line 1. Okay, pretty sweet. I know the browser's picking up my information correctly. And if I go to my document and I go to sources and I look at style CSS, there's my div, there's my background color, there's my fire brick. Awesome. Here's my index HTML, and here's my whole code. So we know we're connected properly. But the second part of it, I haven't quite done that yet. I want to use class. We saw in the original again, inside body, I've got this word class that shows up over and over and over again. And if I expand the div, it's kind of everywhere, in every div, in every element, in everything. And it's like, wait a minute, what is this orange text all about? Why does it keep showing up? Why do I keep seeing it over and over again? And what does it mean? So this is the most common way that people style CSS is by using the class, the most amount of flexibility and the most accurate in terms of pointing to the element that I want. So here inside of index.html, I'm going to add what's called an attribute. Class equals, and I've got these quotes here, my div. And we're just going to keep the name simple. We'll call it my div, not just div regular. You can call this div if you want to, because we're going to reference it in a different way, but we're going to call this my div. And we're going to use this, you'll see this sort of what's called camel case. And camel case, just a quick note down below, camel case is when, whoops, I should change this to camel case, is when the very first letter of a word is lowercase, but the rest of the words are uppercase. So hopefully camel case is something, it'll take some time to get used to, but you will see it very frequently in everything JavaScript. So JavaScript, HTML, CSS, all use, well, sorry, take that back. CSS, JavaScript use camel case. There's no real case in HTML. So in style CSS, in here, you'll see my div. So I'm going to get rid of this div and I'm going to comment that out. Whoops. We're going to comment this out and we're going to type in below dot my div. And we're going to change the background color to blue. All right, now what happens? Let's save our CSS and we've got this class my div. So I'm going to come back to document. I'm going to change this and we'll see, oh, cool, it changed to blue. Awesome. But what happens if we have both a div and a class. Which one takes priority? Oh no. So I have both of these and they are conflicting. They are not the same. One is Firebrick, one is blue. So let's go back, let's save, and let's see what happens. So save this. Oh, blue wins. All right, more specific. What if we switch it? What if it's a logic thing? What if it's just order of operations? Maybe that's it. And if we refresh here, nope, blue wins. So what did we learn? That the tag is helpful, is useful, but the class is ultimately the better option because it is more specific. So in here, class label will be more specific and be used before tag labels. So just so you know, order of operations, you've got a dot my div. So I'm going to go over this again because I know it's new information. So I'm going to delete everything in here. I'm going to leave the CSS. I'm going to leave the HTML where it is. I'm just going to get rid of the class. So this is what we had originally. And we've got our link to the style sheet here. So even this one, let me get rid of this one just so we make sure that when we come to our document and refresh, there is no CSS. All of this is in italics. So here, there's nothing that I can really do in the div. It's just a italics coming from the user agent style sheet. We don't have a CSS. So let me belabor the point and put in link CSS, style CSS. Now we've got this div here. I'm going to create a div. And this div syntax, super annoying, but open bracket, background color, and pick whatever color you want. Keep it simple. We'll call it blue. Or I think originally we had Firebrick. Let's stick with Firebrick so it doesn't get confusing. Sorry. All right. Now we're going to come back to our page and we're going to refresh and we've got this Firebrick. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add in a class equals to my div. So I want you to notice something. Inside the class, there's no period. So this is going to get slightly confusing, but when you reference from CSS, you do need a beginning period. So inside class, there is no beginning period. It's just lowercase m, lowercase y, capital D, lowercase I, lowercase v, just my div, nothing else inside of two quotes. But in style CSS, dot, that is going to be very important, my div, and background color blue. Now I save and I come back here and I refresh, changes to blue. If I don't have this dot and I save, notice that there's a color difference. The browser is trying to tell me, whoa, something's not right. I don't know what's not right, but something's not right. These two are not the same. So if I come back in here and I refresh, I go back to my red. Why didn't this work? I'm not going to get anything in terms of output in console. I'm not going to get any errors. I'm not going to get anything in here. So CSS troubleshooting, oh, it's a nightmare. It is so annoying. But I need to keep emphasizing how to look at the patterns so that you know where to look. So color difference here should be one indicator. Hey, normally all my text is yellowish. Why is this one white? Let me change that. Let me put a period in because I know it's a class name. I'll save it. Oh, my color restored to where it was supposed to be. That's why visual editors are really helpful. And I come in here and I refresh and now it's blue. All right. So already we see the complexity that's starting to begin when we look for the patterns. Now I'm going to do something different. So I'm going to add in what are called p tags. And so for this second one, I'm going to use a p tag. And why am I going to do that? Because I want to style this one differently than the first line. So inside of here, my div, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to refresh. Cool. That's all blue. This is probably going to work because inside of my style CSS, I've got a my div background color blue. But now I'm going to say my p tags, everything p tag background color green. And we'll see what happens. Why is that p tag? Why am I using that p tag? Oh, because now I can change that individual element as the p tag. So what I want to show is how powerful CSS is, but how confusing it can be. We started styling the div, and in our style CSS, that div said, hey, everything that's inside the div, make it Firebrick. So I would assume everything inside of this div would be Firebrick or red. But inside here, I have another tag called a p tag. Oh, wait a second. Oh, I missed something entirely, sorry. But I went back and added this class element, and now I have this class tag for my div, and I changed the background color to blue. So if I come here, all my text should be blue. But I then went on to add a p-specific element, a paragraph-specific coloring for this line, and I wanted that one to be green. Why do I want to show this? Because I want to show that, hey, we can style the div, but we can also style the p tag inside, and we can override that div as well with a class attribute. So there's various ways to style elements based on specificity. And so the tag is one way, the class is the most specific way. So ideally, what I want to do, and this makes no sense, but let me actually change this and make this a p tag as well, so you see the difference. So now this is going to get really confusing with the CSS, but I have my div tag, which everything should be red. Then I have my div tag, which should be blue, and then I have my p tag, which everything should be green. What color do you think the background is going to be? Well, let's take a look. So I'm going to refresh, and whoa, okay, this is really weird. What's going on here? I expected it all to be green, but why is there blue in the middle? This doesn't make sense to me. So let's look at the elements. So if we look at the elements, this div is this whole thing. This p tag, whoa, there are bars up above and below, and there's bars up above and below. So this is where we're going to get into margin and spacing and predefined elements. So here in our CSS, we've got the div, and we see the my div is being used, but the div background colors lined out, struck through. Whoa, what's going on there? So it knows that automatically that div is being overridden by the myDiv element because this is a class attribute. So class attributes will always override a div tag. And so we can see that in the editor when we look and see, oh, this is struck through. It doesn't really even belong. Why is this code even in my file? I can delete this code. It's excess. I don't need it. For now, I want to leave it so that you see what's going on. Then when we come to the P element, oh, there's some stuff going on in here in the browser that is weird. So I have a background element. We've typed that in. But the user agent style sheet, okay, there's some stuff going on here that I don't quite fully understand. There's this thing called margin block start, margin block end, margin inline start, margin inline end. Whoa. So I want to bring your attention to margin and padding. And down here, you see this box, and I don't know if it's visible. I hope it is. I'm going to bring it up a little bit. You see this margin border padding box that is here? So as I hover over, you'll see different things change. So in the middle, this is just the straight up text. Then if I hover over the padding, which this one has no padding, border, there is no border, and margin. Now we see that orange box on top, and we saw that blue line change. So automatically with the p tag, there's a margin that comes with the element because that's what's predefined in the HTML. So this is going to get a little confusing, but I'm going to play around with the margin and padding, and I'm going to show you the effect that margin and padding have. So in this p tag, what I'm going to do is in the style sheet, we're going to play around with margin, and we're going to call this 500 pixels and just see what happens. This is a pretty big number. And so when we come back to our document, whoa, okay, this just changed up and just went insane. What is going on here? Okay, now my background is still blue, but I changed my margin so much that it tossed out all these elements to the side. So inside of my p tag here and inside of this p tag, both of them now have this massive amount of space to contend with. And it's almost so much that it's hard to see. So let me reduce it and we'll come down to 50, reduce it by 10 and we'll see what happens. So come back here, refresh. Okay. Now I can see it a little bit more clearly and I can see the amount of space up above and below that each element takes. So this p tag takes up that space, this p tag takes up that space, and they're overlapping in the middle. And in that overlap, that div takes that space. So spacing elements in CSS with HTML is such a problem. It is confusing. People will rack their heads trying to figure out how this works because it doesn't, but it kind of does. So I'm going to show you something that every CSS, pretty much every CSS will have at the very top, and it's the star element. This is a wildcard catch-all, and margin 0, padding 0. And I know this is getting a little confusing and a little complicated, but I'm going to clarify all of this and we're going to see the dramatic changes now on the site. So once we come back here, I need to get rid of the margin 50 pixels. There we go. So we're going to come back here and we're going to refresh and whoa, wait a minute. Where did my blue go? What happened? Why is that blue no longer there? Now I have my expected results though. I have my expected results that we wanted. We wanted this P color to be a background green, and we had these two elements, so I expected it to be green. I didn't expect the blue to be in there. So I'm going to take away this wildcard up here, delete it, or comment it out, whichever one you want to do. Maybe I'll comment it out so that you can see the difference and it's still in the text or still there. But we have this background color of Firebrick, blue, and green. So save this, come back in and refresh. We have space up here. We have space on the side, and we have this thing in the middle. We also have space down below. How do I know we have space down below? Well, just like everything in HTML, we can also add a background color to the body. And for the background color of the body, I'm just going to type in the word body. And I'm going to add in background color. And we're going to call this bisque, some very light color, some color that's not going to interfere. And we can see our backgrounds and how they have now a little bit of a border around each element so that we see, okay, these are taking up certain spaces. So if I come back in and I go back to my style and I undo this comment and I save again, now we'll be able to see, oh, that element now changes and went back to what we wanted. So in the interest of time, what I'm going to do is delete all of this and go over it again so that this kind of idea of margin and padding kind of makes sense. We'll get into it a lot more next week when we deal with responsive design. And we'll spend a lot of time with margin and padding because you'll be able to see how the elements change on the page. So if I bring this out, we see the page elements change and I have a whole new section. If I shrink this down and make it smaller, this whole section 3 disappears entirely and it goes away. I have section 1, section 2, but where did section 3 go? It's just a different width on the page and section 3 reappears. And so that's playing around with margin and padding and responsive design. So here, if I change section 1 and make it really super skinny, section 3 disappears. And also here on the hero section, if I come back a little bit wider, I can see, okay, that element changes. Now, one thing that's really cool about browsers is inside of the browser, you'll have this sort of weird looking symbol. It's supposed to be a device toggle, and it's really small next to the elements in Chrome, but you have this computer with what looks to be a phone. So if you click that, now I get sort of a different device that I can choose. Right now it's in default responsive, but if I want to know what my site looks like on an iPhone SE, this is an iPhone SE, and this is what it'll look like for users on an iPhone SE. Doesn't look too bad. And so now I can look at iPad Air, and I can even change the landscape and change it from side to side and rotate. So this is a portrait view, and I can look at landscape view. So here's an iPad Air and what my site might look like with an iPad Air. And if I change up the formatting, oh, iPad Air, it looks all right. So if I go to an iPad or a Samsung Galaxy S20, now my section 3 disappears because it's a more narrow screen. But if I make it wide and landscape and look at the site sideways, now I have more information. And so we'll look at spacing. We'll look at responsive design next week. But today, what I want you to get used to is this idea of HTML with CSS at a very, very basic level, just trying to incorporate these. Also, I do want you to just get in the idea of copy the element and pasting everything into an HTML and saving, and then attaching the style CSS as well. So in our page, refresh, and we have this. It's not working. Why is it not working? Hey, the style CSS isn't found. One of two options: change this name,
BB has
or
left the meeting.
change this link here, and we can just go style CSS, and we will not have everything correct, obviously, because we haven't copied in any of our CSS. So
BB has joined the meeting.
come back in, style CSS, and paste that all in, and refresh, and we're good to go. So I know that covers quite a bit of just CSS and HTML. There's quite a bit going on, but the idea is we covered divs, we covered patterns, so the patterns of the elements of HTML, the head element, the body element. The main thing out of the head element is this line right here, the link style sheet. Everything else you can really forget. Just leave it where it is. Don't worry about it. And then in the body, what I really wanted to point out was divs and classes. So I hope when you look at this now, you have some more context that, oh, if there's a div and a class of navbar, that must mean inside of CSS, there is a navbar in here somewhere. Where is this navbar? Where's the word navbar? Oh, okay, here it is. There's some things going on inside of here that I can now understand and know what to do with. There's some things I wanted to cover today that I didn't get to, but I want to talk about Flexbox and different ways to align, but I'll save that for next week. I think I tried to bite off a little more than I can chew today, so I apologize for that. But yeah, hopefully next week I will move these two items to next week's. So I think today, copying code, getting used to HTML tags, and structuring HTML. I hope you feel comfortable with that. And then with CSS, where it exists in the browser, getting familiar with the syntax. We didn't cover IDs as much because IDs are kind of a special unique case, but they work very similar to like classes. And then padding, we touched very, very, very little. And then we'll get to Flexbox next week. So if you have any questions, let me know in the chat if this was too fast or if this was too slow and it felt like I was belaboring the point a bit too much. Let me know so that I can adjust my speed for next week. But I hope today was helpful, and I hope today that you were able to see how the connection between just HTML and CSS work. So if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Feel free to ask questions. But yeah, that's all that is for today. So yeah, thank you all for joining. Awesome, good to know. My pleasure on the repetition. I will try to keep that up in the future then. All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate your time today, and apologies on the late recording. I'll see what I can do to have another recording of the beginning session, and then I'll merge the two together and post them up onto YouTube. All right. Perfect, everybody. Bye, y'all. See you next week.